I know, I'm late. I'm sorry. I said I wouldn't be. I just did longer on there than I was, and now I'm probably not going to end up editing my fucking video tonight. So, what can you do? Hi from TikTok. Hello, Tonk Bean. Hello, hello. Hey, y'all. What up? Not much. Not much. I'm streaming on my favorite platform ever, YouTube, and I'm done with my chewing gum. I am so addicted to nicotine at the moment. It is crazy. It's crazy the work I'm doing. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, there are certain people who you just talk to on there that are just like people are interested in. Lonabox posted some video where he was upset about what Destiny's done, and it's just like funny. Sorry. What am I looking at? Um, right. Oh, yes. I just wanted to chat for a bit. Was hoping you'd come on. I just checked the channel a little while ago and got a notification anyway. Sorry. Yeah, I was a little bit late today. Welcome to the Megadome. Hell yeah. AV took up too much of your time. Yeah, he did. I probably should have ended that 5-10 minutes ago, or even 25 minutes ago before it even started. But yeah, I had bad signal. There was nothing to be summarized. It's just him saying strange things. Chris looks so thin with his short hair. When? What do you mean? My hair's not short at the moment. Are you just talking about a while ago, or what? Sorry, I'm gonna go put some stuff in the bin. I got some zins, and I need to empty the tin. I'm not very thin at the moment. I'm a big boy. Do you stream on Rumble too? I watched Jew Dissidents stream on Rumble. I don't know who Jew Dissidents is, but I only stream on here. Like the stream as you guys filter in here. 100. Also, I'm really hot again. It's really hot the last few days. My video is actually done in terms of recording. I just need to fucking edit it. But so thin with his short hair. Yeah, I'm feeling a big boy at the moment. I need to lose some weight, but I just keep getting bigger, stronger, tougher. It's the Mog Prince himself. Is that what you're calling me? Prince of Mogadishu, you know. I'm not seeing chat updating. That's either because there's not many of you in here, or because just a bit. It's always things you play. I need to turn my mic volume up. Yeah, how's about fucking this? Is this too loud for you? Is that what you want to hear? Is this what you want to hear? Yeah. Let me see how loud that actually was. Chat updating. That's either because there's not many of you in here, or I'm listening to myself. Just a bit. It's always things you play. I need to turn my mic volume up. Yeah, how's about fucking this? Is this too loud for you? God, I wish actually my mic. I wish I had a way. I could actually try and make my mic closer to my mouth. I do have like a. I've got like a thing to make my mic closer to my mouth, but I think the thing is that this mic is just not very good, and I don't know. I've got like, as you can tell, I have like a. I got this thing. I got this. I got my. It's. I could like. How could I set this up? Wait, if I put it like here. I guess I could get my mic like. I could actually, if I really wanted to, I could just set this up here and just put my mic here, and you could all hear me better. Maybe I should do that. Yeah, I do have a very loud voice. I'm trying to remember it. It's called what's it called? Like a microphone arm, a boom. Dismantle is not real. Everyone needs to repeat on every forum. Constantly fill its chat. It must be repeated. I tend to agree with you on that topic. God, I saw someone posting like this guy once came on my What the fuck? Apparently there's leaked messages between Ehud Barak and Jeffrey Epstein. Hold on, I'll check if this is real, because if it is, I'm adding that shit to the title. Oh, holy shit. This is from someone who's like an actual sort of decent scholar. So, leaked emails show that Epstein was using Barack to seek out opportunities in this. No fucking way. Damn. Yeah, this looks real. Okay. Beans. Emails. Holy shit. Chris, please finish that thought. Sorry for the spelling, it gets sensitive if I write it correctly. Came on. Hi, he visited several times. I know he visited New York, but that's crazy. I knew it happened. But what should we do first? Maybe let's do some stop, actually. There's some guy... Oh, this guy came on my live. Sorry, that's what I wanted to say. Let me see if I can find him. His name's like Bruce Unfiltered, and he does epic videos about the UK. I might actually make a stitch about him. Favorites.
You've heard the chant, haven't you? Free Palestine. It's on banners blasted through megaphones, plastered across TikTok. But here's the question nobody asks.
These are all... I'm sure that AV guy looks like this. These people all think that they're so fucking smart. Like, they think that they know so much about this, but it's just like, you don't know the buzzwords about genocide and apartheid. And it's like, what do you mean, bro? You don't know what those words mean.
Free Palestine from what and according to who? You see, in Britain, especially among the white liberal left, it's become a badge of virtue. They'll scream the...
It's become a badge of virtue. The thing about Palestine is, in many senses, it is actually a badge of virtue, especially amongst leftists, because it's almost like a litmus test to see basically whether someone is actually a leftist, whether they're someone who is against Western imperialism, or whether they're someone who whether they're someone who, you know, is just like, doesn't give a fuck about Palestine. I think it is a good badge of virtue to have.
The slogan at marches, but push them to explain it and you'll get silence or some vague waffle about human rights from the river to the sea. Most couldn't even find Gaza on a map if you paid them. Now, let's just break it down. For many...
Imagine just making a video that is literally just trope after trope after trope after trope. Most people can't find Gaza. They don't know what the words mean.
Western activists, Free Palestine translates into a two-state solution.
Two-state solution. I want to see if I can actually find out what the... I really want to see if I can find this Av Hakiran guy, because maybe he's messaged me actually on TikTok. No Zionist ever messaged me on TikTok anymore. It's really sad. I really enjoy talking to people on TikTok. AV. And I'm gonna have to check my fucking TikTok live to see who...
Do something about why don't Israel has regularly killed and attacked.
I can't actually find his name. Fuck knows. Join the Discord or you'll be cast into a sulphurous lake. Indeed. Yeah. I almost put you in a timeout, Henry, so...
An independent Palestinian state living side by side with Israel. Sounds neat and tidy, but we've had 3 decades of peace talks, accords and summits, and every single one has collapsed. If it was that simple, it would have been sorted years.
It's really funny when someone's just like, is it if it was really that simple? And it's like, yeah, if you just continually back Israel and let it do whatever it wants, of course you end up in this situation. Like, Israel has just been allowed to do whatever it wants. This is why the word numpty was invented. Yeah, I mean, it does fit this guy well. Bruce Unfiltered.
years ago. For Palestinians themselves, the meaning splits. Fatah, who control the West Bank, talk the language of negotiation, but still refuse to formally recognize Israel as a permanent state. Hamas, who run Gaza, don't bother with diplomacy. For them, free Palestine...
Also, this is not true. Fatah do recognize Israel.
means wiping Israel completely off the map. Not coexistence, not peace, eradication. And you see, that's where the slogan turns dangerous. To some it means sovereignty and rights, to others it literally means the destruction of a country and the 7 million people.
It's so funny. Like, this guy just like thinks, these people all think they're so smart because they're old and make like 1 million TikToks a day. But like, ultimately it's just shit. It's just shit. What is this? This guy's worse than History Revealed.
Flags for Freedom is now on the 8th to the 12th of September. The details will be in this video. The rules have not changed, only the date. We're going to give this more time to build some momentum. From
He's got like a boner talking about putting up flags.
Monday the 8th to Friday the 12th of
From
September.
Monday the 8th,
single comment you post
we're all going to put up a flag.
online on political and MSM sites equals you posting your national flag. If you believe in democracy, freedom of speech, and are against the authoritarian censorship of our voices, this is for you.
This guy fucking believes that, like, Palestinians, we're all wrong to support Palestine, but everyone like him is being authoritarianly censored.
People living in it. But in the UK, protesters don't bother with nuance. They drape themselves in keffirs, shout apartheid into a loudspeaker, and then head back for an oat milk latte, satisfied they've saved the...
Bro is trying so hard to be he's trying so hard to be a right-wing grifter, but no one's interested. You have an algorithm that backs up what you do. You've got your little fucking studio to do it, and no one cares, bro.
World. Here's the absolute truth. The overwhelming majority of people in Britain do not care. They're not waking up.
It's also quite obvious that actually the majority of people in Britain do care, because it still remains a very prominent news story. And also, when you look at protests and people actually supporting this cause, it's so much bigger than anything Israel related, or any of your stupid little fucking let's raise the British flag. None of them are going to attract near the numbers that certain pro-Palestine protests have had, nor would they be in any way able to sustain the amount of people who are at those pro-Palestine protests every weekend in London.
Worrying about borders in the Middle East, they're worrying about their own and about paying their bills, finding an...
If you comment shit like Pallywood is running overtime, I'm just gonna block you. Like,
NHS appointment, or whether their kids can get safely to school and it actually has enough teachers. Free Palestine doesn't keep the lights on in Leeds or lower council tax in Croydon.
But supporting Israel does, and making explanations for why we should support Israel does. Bro, go play with your, like, Lego chicken instead of doing this.
So the next time you hear the chant, remember, it's not one clear message. It's a bundle of conflicting agendas, from peace talks to total war, hijacked by Western activists who shout the loudest.
What's on his link tree? Flags for Freedom, YouTube. Bruce Unfiltered YouTube. Oh. Hold on, I want to see if he has a YouTube. Octopus referral link, right.
You are not being...
Every video is like the truth that they don't want you to know, and just him recording people in public.
So I spoke to FaZe and Hamid.
Oh God, Jesus Christ! I don't want to watch any of this more of this guy. That's enough of him. He had another video about Palestine here.
Oh, look, the script again. The moment you don't chant the approved slogans, you're suddenly a Zionist, a racist, and paid by the far right. people ever get tired of recycling the same lazy labels instead of engaging
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if this guy is paid by the far right in some capacity.
with reality? Let's get this straight once and for all. I have no emotional investment in the Middle East. I don't wake up in the morning worrying about Gaza. I'm not obsessed with waving flags for foreign causes, and I'm certainly not out in the streets demanding the destruction of a nation and its people. That's your obsession, not mine. And here's the irony you can't see. The very people who
I love how he's literally like even like taught himself to talk like a GB news presenter.
claim to be fighting propaganda are the ones swallowing it whole. You scream apartheid and genocide without ever checking what those words actually mean in international law. You fall hook, line,
This is just someone who doesn't know anything about this. It was like the previous guy who was like talking about genocide, who didn't know anything about
and
it.
sinker for Hamas narrative, while conveniently ignoring that Hamas openly states in its charter it wants Israel wiped off the map. You say nothing about
Bro, I don't care about the state of Israel. I do not care about the state of Israel.
the terror tunnels, the use of human shields, or the fact that Palestinians themselves are brutalized and silenced if they dare criticize Hamas. Silence. Always silence. I have openly criticized people being killed in that region. Women and children should have been removed from that region, and you can see
Yeah, that's mint. I'll post it.
they're blaming who you want.
You can sit there blaming who you want.
Israel, Hamas, Jordan, I don't care who you blame. I've called it out. You haven't, though, have you? You've picked a side. And
Oh, Jesus Christ. Like these, I might stitch this guy because he's so fucking moronic. He also once came on my TikTok live and tried to talk about this. He doesn't know
they
anything
are not
about
even
it.
trying to hide it
He doesn't even
anymore.
know. And also, by the way, this guy like claims he's the subject of authoritarian
So
censorship.
here's a twist you probably didn't see coming. Brighton, the self-proclaimed tolerant city, the rain.
But look, the algorithm literally pushes out his
Operation-
videos. 187,000 views with 23k likes. Crazy work. Like that's such an oddity for that to ever happen on news content about Palestine. Like I've had a few recently actually that did that. This
The
Israeli military. This has 41.5k. Sarah reposted. God damn. It is. Right, that's enough of that though. By the way, there's actually a tragedy has occurred in the UK which is some deep UK law that probably none of you will understand. It's not actually a tragedy, by the way. This is Purple Aki. Purple Aki is a guy who's famous in... Oh, wow, Nola, thank you very much for sending 5 memberships. Who's become a member? Silent Scythe. Danny, nice. Nola. Andrew. Jilly Neutron. Shout out Nola Magnolia, and someone also donated. I don't care, I'm shouting Hasbara. Yeah, bro, that's how you live your life. You just gotta shout Hasbara out. So this guy is like a bodybuilder, and he sort of squeezes people's muscles in the UK, and he's dead. He's also probably a paedophile. And also maybe killed, like, was involved in the death of a child. But yeah, allegedly, there was once I remember watching or reading or learning about that once upon a time. I'll flex, yeah. Hold on, let me check how the camera's looking. Look. Boom. Boom. Actually, that doesn't look that big from that angle. Because my bicep peaks aren't that high, but that looks quite big. I'm tensing hard. I'm flexing. I trained hard today. I've earned a flex. Yeah, I mean, it's not funny at all. Dude, this guy's a rapist murderer. I mean, in terms of being a rapist, I've never heard that, but I have heard the story about him murdering someone, and I kind of had forgotten about that a bit until then, and I was like, oh, am I just making that up? But yeah, allegedly he caused the death of a child, basically, so manslaughter, but... it is an insane story. This guy has been famous in the UK for like years. Someone online. And I did not believe he'd actually died, but apparently he has died. So in 2003, he was jailed for 6 years after being convicted of harassing 15 men. Apparently he's huge as well, like a humongous guy. 3 years later, while he was still behind bars, an SOPO was made on him to the application of the Merseyside Police, which is in Liverpool, which banned him from touching men's muscles and going to gyms. Since the SOPO, Mr. Arabiki appeared repeatedly in court accused of breaching it in Manchester. In 2015, he was found to have touched young men's muscles while travelling on a train from Manchester to North Wales, and was convicted of breaking his SOPO, Sexual Offences Prevention Order, which is just like the register, basically, isn't it? I don't fucking know. The ban was later scrapped after Mr. Arabiki appeared against it. He also had 3 complaints against GMP officers that were upheld after he accused them of a witch hunt. I don't fucking know. In 2022, he was handed a substantial payout after he sued Constable of Greater Manchester Police for malicious prosecution and misfeasance in public order. Getting banned from touching men's muscles is crazy. Some of y'all need that prevention order. I know this guy was like a pervert, but you know, I think that you should probably take a look at this story and maybe look at yourselves in the mirror. He claimed police officers carried out a campaign against him to get him in trouble. He successfully defended himself at his... That's crazy. Defending yourself at trial is like... unbelievable stuff. He instructed Liverpool firm James Murray Solicitors to assist him in pursuing the force for compensation for misfeasances in public or office and malicious prosecution. He received a payout just weeks before the trial was due to take place at Manchester County Court. In his civil claim against the force, Mr. Arabiki alleged that from 2012 he was targeted by 2 particular officers who were not named. A statement from Merseyside Police: "We can confirm that emergency services were in the Toxteth area following a non-suspicious daylight call." Super chat for the musculature. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Around 8:30 p.m, officers were made aware of a man in his 60s found unresponsive at an address in Devonshire Road. He's kind of just like someone who's like just sort of famous in the UK. The new Adam Frieden show was so hard to watch. Dude cares so much about Israel. Dude cares more about Israel than his own constituents. I've not seen that because it wasn't on. I was going to listen to it, but I didn't get round to it earlier. I was listening to Adam Tooze talking about this. But yeah, this is just an insane story. People would... Purple Aki. He's got his own Wikipedia page. People know when he was born as well. That's crazy. But thank you, Commie Care Bear, for becoming a member. Sup, gang, what are we talking about now? Currently we're just talking about Purple Aki, who was a famous bodybuilder from the UK who... Oh, you know what? This is probably on YouTube. This would be an interesting watch to get the stream going. If it's not long, I'm not watching some long-ass documentary. And there's a guy who made a song about him that's quite homophobic. There's also just other videos of this guy.
Purple-Aki. A name that's whispered in the parks and playgrounds.
But yeah, I don't think I can watch that. I feel like I'm going to get in trouble. But yeah, this guy originally ruled as sexually motivated. Arabiki has never been convicted of a sexual offence. Wow, I didn't know that. Later that year, made an allegation against the BBC for incitement to racial hatred, complaining to the Merseyside Police that the documentary was racist and had demonised him. His mother was a secretarial student of Nigerian descent. His father's identity is unknown. He was placed in care at the age of 6 months and spent some time at a Bernardo's home in Llandudno. As an adult, he held several jobs, such as a cleaner in the Mersey tunnels and as a messenger for Liverpool City Council. Oh, this is the story. In 1986, a 16-year-old from Birkenhead named Gary Kelly died from electrocution at New Brighton railway station. He was allegedly running away from Arabiki, who was convicted of involuntary manslaughter but successfully managed to appeal against the conviction on the grounds that he had not acted unlawfully standing on the platform looking into trains. In addition, Arabiki was ordered $35,000 in compensation for the racial overtones in the prosecution case. Jesus Christ. Are you familiar with Dean Blunt? I've never heard of Dean Blunt. No. I don't know who that is. I don't know who Dean Blunt is. I'd be smoking that damned Blunt, not Dean Blunt. Sorry, I was not actually smoking a damned blunt. That was a silly joke, and I'm really... You're in the top 5 British people of all time. Who are the other 5? Pleading not guilty on 50 of indecent assault and harassment against 14 teenage boys between 1995 and 2000. He was convicted of threatening behaviour and jailed for 30 months. Why is the picture for threatening behaviour like a wrestling picture? Crazy. Yeah, I seem to remember that the BBC documentary implied that he chased the kid. The truth of all of it, but yeah, getting a muscle touch ban is crazy. The ban was later overturned as draconian. This is draconian. The UK's slide to authoritarianism began long before Keir Starmer. They were banning everyone from touching muscles. This is the place in which we live. Yeah, he is like a big bloke, apparently. I don't know how tall he is. It probably says here. Died. Well, that's one of the UK's most famous sort of people. Like infamous people, I guess is the way to put it. He's dead. Let's have a look at the BBC's reporting on him. This is very riveting stuff. I don't think I can think of any goats from the UK besides you. It's draconian to not touch muscles. If I bribe you with pizza, will you leave my muscles alone? The classic story of the police being so racist that they can't actually get a conviction. I mean, that is pretty impressive, and that's probably what the story is, rather than actually just being an example of it shouldn't be. Akinwale Arabiki has become a modern-day bogeyman and an internet sensation, and now a court order has curtailed his activities. There's a picture of him. Through Garston in South Liverpool on his way to... A voice called out to him. Did he know if there are any gyms nearby? Vaughan turned to look. Next to him, by an alleyway fence, was a man he didn't recognise, an imposing and powerfully built figure. At the time, Vaughan was maybe 15, maybe 16, and 6'3", tall for his age, but the man was an inch or two bigger and muscular. He must have weighed over 20 stone. Fuck, that is heavy. The man stood in front of Vaughan, blocking his path, and asked, "Can I feel your muscles? Can I feel your bicep?" The sheer oddness of the request threw Vaughan. He was reserved, a shy boy, and there was no one else around to ask for help. So when the man ordered him to flex his muscles, Vaughan did what he was told. The man gripped each of his arms. It was sort of a slimy, running his hand up and down. Vaughan, who is now 48, recalls. He saw a chance to get away when a stranger passed on the other side of the road. The teenager pretended it was his father and latched onto him. Vaughan finally arrived at the snooker hole and told his friends what happened. "Do you know who that was?" the friend said. "The man who accosted him was notorious. He had a thing for feeling muscles and a nickname. It's Purple Aki." Someone said, yeah, Destiny might become the Purple Aki of the modern day. Yeah, this is his story. You can just read this. I'm not going to read this. It's actually very, 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 very long. Just want to see if there's any more images of him. With North Somerville, who was chief constable of the Merseyside Police, who led an operation which Arabiki was jailed for. But crazy story. Crazy story. Rest in peace. Rest in piss, maybe more. Seemingly a sex offender, so. But he's sort of just been famous in the UK for, like, years. Like, someone who's a significant figure on the internet and someone you really didn't believe existed. But then as more and more people have phones, I guess we saw more and more of it and more of him. But yeah. Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. Hold on. God, Israel seems to have been posting some racist shit. Oh, God. By the way, all of these far-right people who act like they're, like, you know, amazing, like anti-authoritarians who live in, like, this world of, like, look, we're subverting the government and the government wants to silence us. Here is literally the Israeli government parroting the same talking points of the fucking, like, far-right people. In the year 1980, there were only fewer than 100 mosques in Europe. As for today, there are more than 20,000 mosques. This is the true face of colonization, and this is what is happening while Europe is oblivious and does not care about the danger. And the danger does not lie in the existence of mosques in and of themselves, for freedom of worship is one of the most basic human rights, and every person has the right to believe and worship his Lord. The problem lies in the contents that are taught in some of these mosques, and they are not limited to piety and good deeds, but rather focus on encouraging escalating violence in the streets of Europe and spreading hatred for the other and even for those who host them in their countries, and inciting against them instead of teaching love, harmony and peace. Europe must wake up. Who tweeted this? Real Malouf. Oh god. Like, it's crazy that this gets posted by someone like this. Islamist preacher. Imagine just this being your career, just tweeting out racial hatred. And also, why are you tweeting this in, why the hell are you tweeting this in Arabic? Like, who is this for? And also, calling this colonization. Like, just saying that this is colonization. Muslims aren't setting up an ethno-state in the UK. That's just not fucking happening. Like, I'm sorry, it's just not. It's never going to happen, and it won't happen. Immigration to Europe is just a product of capitalism and aging populations. I mean, what is the white birth rate in the UK? Oh my god, I think that these statistics are, I think that all of these statistics are, it doesn't, total fertility rate. I'll see if there's one for white. There isn't even one for white. English. Maybe it's done by ethnicity. Authorities. It's just total fertility rate, unfortunately. English regions. Yeah, it's not very helpful. Ethnicity? So this is about stillbirth rates. This is not very helpful. But yeah, just the white birth rate is indeed declining. But it's just part and parcel of living in European society, of living in Europe, where it's increasingly expensive to have kids, and people are just living in ways, you know, that are less cohesive in terms of family. Unfortunately, capitalism is a very unfortunate system that constantly requires more and more people to fill menial jobs and have a population of people who are basically going to be able to do work that people don't want to. I just want to see if I can... God. Oh my god, why is this so hard to fucking find? Am I even right in what I'm saying? Let me have a look. You know what? I can't even fucking find this. I can't even find this. I mean, also destabilizing. Oh, 100%. Like, destabilizing Afghanistan and Iraq. People are crying about Afghan refugees coming over to the UK. Okay, maybe we shouldn't have unequivocally backed America and what it did there. Right. Let's move on to... the UK doesn't have birthright citizenship. Yeah, I mean, the US won't soon, though, so... we're not behind the US in something. The US is finally following our lead. Right. Afghans in Iran are being ostracized too. Yeah, I saw about that. It doesn't surprise me. I mean, of course they're treated with like a high level of suspicion by the Iranian government anyway, who are repressive and don't like and like already repress ethnic minorities. And when there is a justification like saying, well, this person is going to be likely a terrorist and to support the Taliban. But yeah, interesting story. So I don't feel I've never heard of Rich For. I don't know who that person is. If it's not Epstein on my screen, it's Epstein on your damn screen. Leaked emails show Epstein's attempts to dabble in security tech across borders in the last years of his life. I mean, by the way, this doesn't surprise me at all. Like, wouldn't surprise me if Jeffrey Epstein was trying to get if Jeffy Eppy was trying to get some of that Pegasus software. After his first arrest for sex crimes, Jeffrey Epstein tried to get into a new line of work: surveillance. In 2015, he partnered with former Israeli PM Ehud Barak to invest in a security tech startup called Reporty Homeland Security, now known as Carbine. What does Carbine do? I am not giving £2.75 to Wikipedia. Not for this. Is an Israeli... Of course it's an Israeli company that develops advanced emergency communication solutions. Yeah. New York with R&D operations in Tel Aviv. Jesus Christ. I wonder what it's actually up to. I'm late. Hi. Hello. Classic Jeffy. He's always doing this kind of stuff. Epstein walked so Destiny could run. I mean, hell yeah. Now known as Carbine. Leaked emails shows that Epstein was using Barak to seek out opportunities in the surveillance industry and build connections with powerful figures around the globe, including American businessman Peter Thiel, the former director of Israeli signals intelligence, and two people in Russian President Vladimir Putin's circle. After he was first caught sexually exploiting teenage girls... slight correction here, Mr. Petty. I think he was caught a lot of times, but just people didn't care. Epstein had pleaded guilty to soliciting prostitution in 2008, and he served a little over a year in detention. Meanwhile, he invested his wealth in bizarre projects, including a ranch to breed women with his DNA, and efforts to identify a mystery particle that might trigger the feeling that someone is watching you, according to the New York Times. What the actual fuck? He is like Dan Saltman in this sense, investing in bizarre projects like the H3 podcast. The leaked emails show that Epstein was also interested in more mundane means of spying on and manipulating people, which overlapped with the technologies governments often pursue. This interest crossed borders. Barak's email inbox was quietly posted by DDoS, Distributed Denial of Secrets, a website widely considered to be a successor to WikiLeaks. I've never heard of this website. What do they post? Wow. An archive of war crimes evidence compiled by Israel Exposed, including geolocation and backups from Discord, Telegram, and Twitter. According to Israel Exposed, a copy of the data was provided to the ICC. Crazy. Eswatini Financial Intelligence Unit. So they just post, like, anything, basically. Where do they post the Jeffrey Epstein? Can't even see this. But anyway, on a file-sharing platform for verified journalists and researchers in May 2025, the contents came from Handala, a hacker group named for Palestinian cartoon character that has been leaking files taken from senior Israeli officials for several months. Would UK police charge a tourist for saying they support Palestine action? Yes, they would charge a tourist. It would get you in trouble. Guy would have moved to the Panopticon. And do a year in detention. He had work leave permission. Jeffrey's got a lot of work to be doing. Jeffrey's got a lot of work to be doing, bro. He needs to be soliciting child prostitutes at all times. This is a guy with business interests all around the world. The contents... Although the emails were posted without technical metadata or cryptographic signatures that would allow their authenticity to be verified, they include dozens of images, videos, voice recordings, and scanned documents from Barack and his friends and family that have never been published elsewhere, and they include information that was not publicly known at the time of the email links, including a reference to Epstein's birthday book. Oh, no. Oh, Jesus. They got Epstein's fucking birthday book. The emails below, which have not been published elsewhere, paint a picture of Epstein as a man very eager to be in the nexus between private money and public surveillance. While they were hammering out the Reporty investment, Epstein invited Barack to come to a meeting with Thiel, co-founder of PayPal and the surveillance contractor Palantir, in May 2014. Although Barack couldn't make the meeting, probably busy killing Palestinians or justifying or explaining why it's cool to do that, Epstein insisted that Barack spend real time with Peter Thiel and offered to set up a dinner the following month. Peter Thiel could be very interesting, but I'm flying to Europe next time, Best. I sign my emails with Best, and he also should comma here, right? Is that right? I have Peter Thiel on the 19th, if you like, as well as the former president of the Maldives. Peter Thiel can come to dinner on the 9th. Can you stay until then? Jeffrey was not very good at his emailing, was he? Why have they blurred Jeffrey Epstein's email? I've got some stuff to talk about him. Do you reckon Purple Aki? Imagine he just sent him a message saying, know this guy, Purple Aki, really good to chat and build connections. He had some wild connections, bro. It wouldn't surprise me if, like all these people who are like, Epstein is, like, the reason that the US supports Israel. Yeah, sorry, 1 second, I need to clean my glasses. I can't fucking see and my top's not right. I don't know where my glasses cleaning stuff is. I can't clean my glasses. I'm gonna have to be blind all stream. Is that what... Teal wasn't interested. He already ate someone. Yeah, I mean, Teal was eating people. I mean, that's a worse typo than mine, and I wouldn't send that in an email. Barack wrote to a different business associate a few days later, without mentioning Epstein's role, that he and Thiel would have a first date and probably spend it just talking geopolitics with an unnamed third person. In that email, Barack added that he had met Thiel once before in Davos. He met him in Davos. Oh my god, the New World Order. They're going to make us eat bugs. Epstein's making us eat bugs. Probably couldn't even, doesn't even recall it. Going to meet him for dinner tomorrow. He asked to bring another person with him. I don't know who/why. I've met him once in Davos some 2 years ago. Probably he doesn't even recall it. Let's see, I was told by the host of the dinner that we will probably spend it talking geopolitics. It's a first date. I think he's of huge potential to accelerate things by the sheer reputation he's got. No way, it's a waste of time. Thus I going to do it, and we will see. I'll let you know. Warm regards, EB. Crazy that he spelt it like waste, as in waste. Like waste, like mine, which is too thick right now. God damn. Hi Ehud, I googled Peter Thiel. Seems to be really interesting, smart and active character. Did you meet him? This is perhaps the strangest reaction to ever seeing Peter Thiel, saying that he seems to be a smart and active character. I'm going to be honest, when I see Peter Thiel, I don't really see much about, like, him being a smart and active character. He seems horrifying. It's not clear exactly what happened in that meeting. In Feb of 2016, however, Epstein pitched Reporty to Vala Ventures, a fund co-founded by Thiel and two close partners. We'd love to hear more about Reporty. Are you in NYC in the near term, or would a phone call make more sense? Thanks for thinking of us, Jeffrey. Vala Ventures, a general partner, Andrew McCormack, wrote back. We'd love to hear more about Reporty. Oh, we just read that. After meeting the Reporty team, basically, this is just a guy who used killing Palestinians as a means to make loads of money, which is, cool, but not really that unprecedented. Really cool that you can just do that, like mass murder people and then be like, I got some good ideas about surveillance, Like, you've just engaged in oppressing Palestinians. And I think that this is also, like, the nexus that people need to remember. The whole thing with what Israel is and does, yes, it is undeniably a testing ground for weapons against Palestinians and like all of these things, but it's also a testing ground for surveillance techniques that they want to control us with, you know, human beings and restive populations, protesters and those who challenge dictatorships. Just want to see if I can find like a glasses cleaner, because mine are filthy. I can't see out of them, and they got some dirt on them. I don't know what that is. While Epstein was trying to deal with the American tech sector, he was portraying himself to Russian elites as an apolitical wheeler-dealer. In April 2015, Epstein introduced Barak to former Russian Deputy Minister of the Economy, Sergei Belyakov, who then invited Barak to attend the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum. That wasn't the only business Epstein had in mind. Do you think that all of these people were like involved in children, like you know, the stuff with the kids? Maybe, I don't know. I mean, I feel like Ehud Barak was definitely like having sex with models. I feel like there's kind of proof of that, isn't there? There's like photos of him leaving the mansion covertly. No, my glasses will be fine. I just need a cloth, because this is like a mesh shirt and they just clean them so badly. According to the Russian opposition news outlet, I spoke to Sergei afterwards. He will help. I suggest you send him a note that states that you think Putin and his advisors would benefit from spending some time with Jeffrey to discuss markets, currency and financial systems in the new world of zero interest rates. And that I am not political. This is just crazy. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. Chris, my beloved, thank you for all the information. Thank you very much, Gold. That's an incredibly kind donation. What is QAR? Qatari. Oh my god, the Qataris are actually sponsoring me. Wow, the Qataris are giving me the goddamn cash. Holy shit. I also think it is worth noting that, like, a lot of them are not for the kids. A lot of them were just there for, like, banging, like, overage women who were still sex trafficked into it. So it's not really a good excuse for, you know, doing what they're doing. But, of course, you know, it's slightly more legal than banging kids. Dossier Center. Epstein offered Belyakov advice working around US economic sanctions against Russia. Ron Wyden alleged that the US Treasury had files on Epstein's transactions with now sanctioned Russian banks, adding up to hundreds of millions of dollars. It does show you how much money there is in doing this kind of stuff, you know, just fucking like surveilling people and helping to develop techniques of just oppressing human beings and ensuring that they forever live under dictatorships. The court demands closure of inhumane Alcatraz. I did hear about alligator Alcatraz not working. It's not really surprising, but isn't it like an environmental concern rather than it being inhumane? Sorry, there seem to be some even crazier ones. Barak kept Epstein abreast of all of his contacts with another Russian businessman, Viktor Vekselberg, a Putin ally. While scheduling the Thiel meeting, Barak asked Epstein if there was a time that day to have a coffee with a man he referred to as VV and Victor. Peter is Monday at 8 p.m, Victor. And before 6 p.m, is Peter coming around 7 p.m? It is kind of crazy that Peter Thiel is like someone trying to define the world in which we live. Are we going to address Chris Kunzler as an Amir? Yes. Qatari Airlines sponsorship. Hell yeah. I don't think I'll be taking that, but, you know. Yeah, it is a fucking Bond villain name. That's good news, Irene. I hear they used environmental issues and also an indigenous group got involved. Yeah, I heard it was that. The Native American tribe living there. Shout out once again, those damned Native Americans have foiled. They have foiled the American plans to take over the world. Those darn Native Americans. Also, I missed it. Yorkshire Sam, thank you for becoming a member. Shout out all the members in here. I will work out something to do with the members. I'm still thinking about setting up a Patreon. It kind of depends what I'm doing. Because as I've told you, from September till October, the streams are only going to be via my phone and on TikTok, which kind of sucks a lot, but it'll still be streaming. But I don't know if I'll be able to do laptop stuff because I can't have like two screens in front of me because I'm not in the UK. Oh, thank you, Gold. I'm in Canada. But I will be working more on like pumping out videos in that period, so I'm not going to be gone anywhere really. I'll just be like doing a video a week, like a long form video. Qatar became a member. The Emir of Qatar is watching my content. Hell yeah. In April 2015, Barack asked Epstein what he thought of Fifth Dimension. That's a gym I once heard of. An intelligence company backed by Vexelberg. The pitch sideshow that Barack sent promised the transformation of massive-scale data from multiple feeds into actionable intelligence, utilizing art AI in an automated real... God. Like, just listen to how horrifying that sounds. Massive-scale data from multiple feeds into actionable intelligence. And it included mock-ups of surveillance screens and maps tracking individual people. Like, this is really, really horrifying. Yeah, I am coming to Canada. I'm visiting Montreal. Epstein wrote back that Barack should call him on the phone. Although it's not clear what came of the call, they didn't discuss the project further. Fifth Dimension was shut down in 2018 after Vexelberg came under US economic sanctions for alleged election meddling. Fuck! The things that could have been done. They could have created this awesome fucking surveillance thing. Throughout their relationship, Epstein signaled to Barack that he was interested in keeping abreast of security-related technology, emailing Barack articles about cyber warfare, emergency preparedness, Russian nanotechnology, and Unit 8200, the Israeli equivalent of the National Security Agency. I enjoy strategy and strategic planning, and at the same time, I'm amazed by the rate at which technology has moved into the private sector, Epstein mused in April 2015. Adding that many corporations are looking for a new military-like perspective or management. I've been surprised by it. Blah, 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 blah. They are now focused on stakeholders, the community, the employees, the suppliers. Frankly, that is a much more military point of view, and the military needs to be more usually I don't know what he was trying to say. Corporate. Focus on cost benefits. Security is now a concern. Cybersecurity, of course. Security of their brand and personal, and their information. Of their brand, their personal and their information. I have been fortunate to be shown opportunities to run major COS and of course sit in on their boards. I enjoy strategy and strategic planning. We of course have had technological focus in Israel for many years. Mostly computation, now biology and its genetic advantages are changing the landscape faster than you can imagine. I feel privileged to be able to contribute some old methods to a new industry. That's from Ehud Barak, of course. But I think that there's definitely a blackmail element, but also realize that by building relationships with these people, you can just make inordinate amounts of money. Jeffrey Epstein never had to do anything. He could just sex traffic all day. What are you doing nowadays? I am trying to decide on the best way to serve. I have been asked to share my experiences with some very large corporations that translate into running major organizations with many moving pieces. Critical mission statements, a formalized hierarchy. At the moment, large corporations are focused on not only on the security of profits, but on the security of their cyber system. Oh, this boring shit. Reporty, a startup focused on overhauling 911 emergency dispatch technology, could bring Epstein into that world. Reporty, a startup focused on dispatch technology, could bring Epstein into that world. One of its co-founders and directors was Pinchas Buchris. Nothing to do with me. Chris, have you heard of Chris Whitaker? He's an evangelical with some good vids on his channel about the Republicans and Zionism. No, I've not heard of that. Might be interesting to look into. I mean, these are also in emails that are like business related. Like, I feel like when I'm writing an email, I work differently to writing a fucking YouTube title, which I just bang out quickly. Bukhris told the Israeli newspaper that broke news of Epstein's involvement in 2019 that the investment was structured to conceal Epstein's role. Barak brought the money, and as far as I'm concerned, it's his. I don't know Epstein and haven't met him. Yet the emails show that Barack scheduled a virtual meeting with Epstein and Bucharest together in December of 2014, and told his lawyers to alter the terms of the investment based on Bucharest. PI note: this change was discussed by me with Jeff following it. Oh, so he just 100% knew that Epstein was involved. Barack announced that he was dissolving his investment partnership with Epstein. Neither Barack nor Bucharest are still on the board of this company. Yeah, by the way, like, they all knew that Epstein was a pedophile. Like, they all knew this. They knew that Epstein had, like, young women around him. All of these people who said, oh, I didn't know this about Epstein, I wasn't around him. These people should all be investigated for aiding and abetting a fucking pedophile and, like, working with a pedophile and being okay with doing that despicable stuff. In April 2016, Barack and Epstein asked Epstein to invest in Levitection, an electromagnetic imaging startup. Couldn't see a product, they don't have it yet, but they're leading experts on advanced radars, made sci-fi-like achievements in military products, Barack wrote, adding that Levitiction's staff were all veterans from the Israeli weapons company Rafael Advanced Defense Systems. Just, by the way, look at this horrifying nexus. You get to make weapons that kill Palestinians, and then you get to go to work for private companies that then go and work and surveil Palestinians. This is crazy shit, to be fair. And, like, I don't think it necessarily reveals maybe what people were hoping about, like a blackmail ring. Maybe there's some more to come, because I have seen some crazy stuff being posted by TrueAnon. But, let me see if I can play. Oh shit. Oh shit. So this article is good. But there's more stuff. There's more stuff that's going to come out in the coming days. They said TrueAnon, right, has said before, and they reckon this. Do you remember when that book came out? They said someone is sitting on loads of information when it comes to this Epstein stuff, and they're waiting to release it, which is kind of crazy. But look at this one. You're right in a way, but not simple to transform it into cash flow. A subject for Saturday. Best Ehud Barak. With civil unrest exploding in Ukraine, Syria, Somalia, Libya, and the desperation of those in power, isn't this perfect for you? Fucking hell. Look at this next one. Sorry, I'm just laughing. It's horrifying. Andrew. Wethy Chines looking to start personal protection co. in Beijing. Kidnapping has begun. Yeah, I mean, this is fucking crazy. This stuff is crazy. Matthew Petty. I hope that loads of shit comes out. But I just think that you should, like, realise what this all is. Like, I think the blackmail and stuff matters and all of this. But I think, like, this kind of stuff is fucking crazy. That these people are basically just releasing, like, that these people are working with security companies to surveil you. This was one of the world's most famous pedophiles doing this stuff. Jeffrey Epstein is working to surveil you with these companies. Hold on. Sorry, I was checking if it was raining and coughing before that. Somalia, isn't that the restaurant? The person who recommends one? Somalia. yeah. Somalia spelt by me. Hi, Jeff. Dr. Levite presented the science to me in much more detail. Couldn't see a product, they don't have it yet, but they're blah 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 blah. If you agree, I will send to negotiate better financial terms with them, based on the same construct we used in Reporty. You and me will be updated along the way. Then based on what he can get, we will make the financial decision. This is crazy. But you know what? Like, the thing is Epstein's fucking dead. These people aren't. These people are not dead. Levitation, that's what it's called. It's called Levitation, isn't it? Received part of a $1.5 million contract with the US Department of Homeland Security in 2020 for developing electromagnetic imaging and AI to detect threats and concealed items in wide open areas. Yeah, bro, that's what it is. Sophie, I messaged you today about the clip stuff. Don't cough, that is anti-Semitism. We all see... Yeah, I'm sorry, I was anti-Semitic towards Ethan Klein with doing my cough. Sorry, I should probably think and address that and get rid of my bleach sword. Apparently the Cracker Barrel logo, I've seen the Cracker Barrel thing and I don't know anything about it, just like how I don't know anything about Travis Kelce getting married to Taylor Swift. I don't know anything about that apart from the fact that he seems like a fucking idiot. The company went out of business in 2022. Gideon Levita, a former Iron Dome missile defense engineer, is now running a similar startup called Scannery. Its promise is to perform mass airport security style scans of crowds using miniaturized radar. Like, I just want to reiterate again, perhaps the craziest shit about all of this is that, yeah, Sophie, I'm sorry, I've been working on a video, so it'll be a while. But I think that the craziest part about all of this, like, probably to focus on, I know the Epstein shit is fucking crazy, and I am making a TikTok about this, but, like, what I have to say is just, like, it's really interesting to see, like, leaked emails from such a senior figure in Israel and how this person just used a career of mass murdering Palestinians to basically do startups with Jeffrey fucking Epstein. Like, someone who was a convicted fucking pedophile. These people at the top have no morals, even if they themselves are not pedophiles. They have no fucking problem working with pedophiles. They have no problem hanging around with people who do fucking sex trafficking and all of this shit. I mean, Barack probably was enjoying some sex traffic people, like, let's be fucking frank here, but crazy shit. Crazy shit. I mean, he just has some... Travis Kelce has some old tweets, hold on. Oh, I mean, actually, he has some horrible, as a man, you have something wrong with you if you're going for girls that weigh more than you. Bro, shut up. You have a 4.0 GPA, and you forget to bring your keys to find your car. Even 4-year-old girls with autism know that you bring your fucking keys. Laughing my ass off. Why would a child having autism have any influence on them, why would any of, like, a child having, like, autism have any influence on them forgetting their keys? Like, or, like, not forgetting their keys. I'm homophobic. It is what it is. I just don't feel comfortable around gay people. Okay, maybe I've changed my opinion about Travis Kelce. I am quite possibly becoming homophobic. I'm coming out as goddamn homophobic today. Yeah, I'll find the squirrel one. Hey, why can't girls hide they back fat? That shit nasty. They slow as hell because their parents have been talking to them like they were R-word since they were babies. Haha, when fat people fall, it's like slow motion entertainment because they never just fall. They always tumble and gradually hit the deck. Hashtag comedy. Really strong point there. Really strong point there from fucking Travis Kelce. People falling over. I've never seen the thick of it, actually. I would kind of like to watch it at some point. I'm sure it's right up my alley, but I just haven't got around to watching it. Sorry, I just got an email, so I'm wondering what the fuck that is. Oh, it's BFI. I just gave a squirrel a piece of bread, and it straight smashed all of it. I had no idea they ate bread like that. Crazy. You know what? Like, some of his more problematic ones, I don't like. That one, I really liked. Taylor Swift really wanted to marry the entire IOF. What do you mean by that one? What do you mean by that one? Is Travis Kelce in some way involved with the IOF? Or are you saying because he's an idiot? Look at this one. Said, ooh, girl, shock me like an electric eel. Why were you tweeting this? How old was he? So he's 35 now. So what? Like, that's 2009 is 16 years ago. So he was still pretty fucking old. So 16. So what? He was like 19. So he was 19 when he was tweeting that. This is a good tweet. Happy Easter to all. Shout out Jesus for taking one for the team. Maybe I was wrong to judge him so quickly. Yeah, he's got some bad tweets, but some of these are bangers. The one about the squirrel is good. I like that one a lot. Sorry, I'm just going to blow my nose. Maybe he's a good guy. Maybe he's a good guy. Her bodyguard was an OF. Oh, I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that she was in this. As someone around his age in 2010, 2010 was a pretty gnarly time. Yeah, I had Twitter back then. I remember people just posting shit. I do remember on Twitter when you retweeted something that it literally just tweeted it out on your account. Like, you didn't, like, repost the tweet. You just it put, like, their name before it. Someone just tweeted this out. Classy from the UAE in memory of Purple Aki. What a stream today. What a stream today. We're covering everything. We got Jeffrey Epstein and Ehud Barak investing in companies. We got Travis Kells talking about squirrels. Squirrel. Eichhörnchen is a squirrel, isn't it, in German? Eichhörnchen. Is that right? Eichhörnchen, which means like acorn, little acorn. No, it doesn't. Squirrel. So what is like the breakdown of why a squirrel's called that? Eichhörnchen. Der Hamsterer. Ich liebe der Hamsterer. Ist eine gute Freund. Einen guten Freund. It is so good. Squirrel. Purple Aki and Jeff Epstein could have been friends. He should have, yeah, I guess if there'd been a meeting between the two of them. Well, actually, would they? Jeffrey was interested in some very different things to Purple Aki. Does the squirrel eat redacted like that? What do you mean? Does the squirrel eat bread? I feel like when I'm reading that, I'm just imagining Asmongold like talking about a squirrel going like, the squirrel came on my stream and ate all my cigarettes. And Hassan was involved in this. I'm just checking if there's
over northern Gaza.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Doing a Palmer impression. What was the accent? That's what he sounds like, bro, to me. No, that's not Hasman Goldhands. He's like, Hassan is evil. Have you seen that episode of Always Sunny where, like, Dee's trying to do an impression of Barack Obama? And it's just her going, and it's just like her going, like, every time she does it, she's just, like, really racist. I was told that the word German for quotation marks literally translates to pigeon feet. What is the word quotation marks in German? I have no idea. I've never heard that word or used it. But thanks, Nola. Nola, you remember for 3 months. Jesus Christ, we've got so many members in here. Up in here. So many goddamn members. He controls bugs. I didn't actually know that. I didn't know that he controls bugs. He's a pretty tough guy. Chris is terrible at non-Israeli accents. I'm an Israeli dating coach. Republican caught on hot mic saying Trump's definitely in the Epstein files. Is that a thing? I mean, Trump is 100% in the Epstein files. Like, I don't even think that is in any sense up for debate.
Yeah, I'm sure he's in there. Trump's in there? Yeah, I'm sure he's in there because he's the one that was telling the FBI about it. He's the one that kicked the guy out of Mar-a-Lago and then called the FBI.
Yeah, he's the guy that kicked Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago. Yeah, bro. I'm like running defense. He's clearly realized he's also on the mic there. That's why he's like, Jesus Christ. I'm just looking at Tommy Robinson tweeting something. Jesus Christ. Let's finish this quickly. Barack offered to use the... Oh, sorry. Henry Chatwin. Damn, Daniel. What's up with Congress? What's up with Congress all up in my ass? Anführungszeichen. Anführungszeichen? Anführungszeichen? I don't know. Anführungs. Your Asman is so good. We're seeing different reviews of it. I become a subscriber if your stream was on Twitch because my stupid YouTube app won't let me pay. I will maybe go to do some Twitching at some point, but I am enjoying. It's just Tommy Robinson calling. I mean, like Tommy Robinson needs to be like. Tommy Robinson needs to be back in prison, but like, I mean, if he does go to prison, they'll just be like, he's a poor victim of the white attacks. He's today like. The UK is just becoming an increasingly more insane thing. This is some girl who was like wielding an axe and a knife and was like allegedly dealing with the migrants. But like, there's no actual like, according to Humza Yousaf and the Courier. Hold on, I'll actually just look at this. They're saying that she was like protecting herself from migrants and like, it's just insane, you know, like, I highly doubt that was what was happening, but even if it was just like claiming that this is true is just fundamentally, utterly ridiculous. But like, just read this tweet from Tommy Robinson. Anti-white parasite. Humza Yousaf inevitably sides against the Scottish children forced to arm themselves against other imports, calling it all far right. She's only 12, leave us alone, you're child bashers. The children shouted as the migrant adults filmed them.
Most senior positions in Scotland are filled almost exclusively by those who are white. Take my portfolio alone. The Lord President, white. The Lord Justice Clerk, white. Every High Court judge, white. The Lord Advocate, white. The Solicitor General, white. The Chief Constable, white. Every Deputy Chief Constable, white. Every Assistant Chief Constable, white. The Head of the Law Society, white. The Head of the Faculty of Advocates, white. Every Prison Governor, white. And not just Justice. The Chief Medical Officer, white. The Chief Nursing Officer, white. The Chief Veterinary Officer, white. The Chief Social Work Advisor, white. Almost every trade union in this country.
I just feel like calling someone an anti-white parasite for doing this is just crazy. Like, utterly, utterly crazy. That's Humza Yousaf, who was Scotland's first minister, but no longer. He's now just an MP for Scottish Parliament for Glasgow Pollock. But yeah, just like the things that this person is tweeting, just crazy. And then we had Nigel Farage saying shit today. I guess we'll finish this because there's barely anything. Barack offered used the same construct we used in Reporty with levitation, and Epstein agreed to have Barack's lawyer negotiate terms. Levita tells Reason via a colleague that Ehud Barak has never been an investor in levitation, and added Jeffrey Epstein was never mentioned in any context related to the company. The emails also contain some tantalizing hints at Epstein's other international endeavors. Epstein told Barack about a business prospect he heard about from Prince Andrew, who has recently come under fire for his ties to an alleged Chinese spy. Wealthy Chines looking to start Personal Protection Co. in Beijing. Kidnapping has begun. Wealthy Chines. Crazy work. Barack did not respond to multiple requests for comment. to his personal email, to his wife, to the lawyer who represented him in the business negotiations, and to the American speakers agency that represents him now. Neither did McCormack Vexelberg, Belyakov, Buchris, Carbine, the British Royal Court, or a spokesman for the Teal Foundation. I saw a business opportunity, Barak told Haaretz in 2019. In a later interview with the WSJ, he called Epstein a terrible version of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, who at the time seemed to be an intelligent person, socially well connected, and of wide areas of interest from science to geopolitics, and said he did not participate in or know about any of Epstein's parties with women or girls. I'm sorry, yeah, like, if you know someone is a paedophile, why are you meeting with them? My Chinese spy got my data. Oh no. Help, my Chinese friend's a spy. That's the kind of thing these guys are saying. Teal acknowledged to the Wall Street Journal that he had met with Epstein more than once in 2014 for unnamed working opportunities. The report did not mention Barak's involvement. I didn't think about what Epstein's agenda might have been, Teal told the paper. Yeah. Oh, Jesus Christ. Ridiculous. Crazy story. He just thought Epstein was a cool and smart guy. Who didn't think Epstein was a cool and smart guy? I know I, for one, did. You know. Jesus Christ. Apparently yesterday, Lonerbox was claiming that attributing the intentionality to Israel's double tap strike on the NASA hospital is a dishonest propagandist, and that it could have simply been an intel failure. Sayeret Golani and other fighters told Israeli media, yeah, it was intentional and ordered from above. They are angry at Netanyahu for suggesting otherwise. Crazy how Lonerbox is someone who considers himself pro-Palestine when it's I mean, literally, when we had our debate, his claim was that the reason the Israeli government and military spokesman lied, and because was that they were juicing up their officers, and because I didn't know how Israel's military structure and how it worked, I didn't know what I was talking about. Even though, like, what the fuck are you talking about, bro? These are people who are so beyond your pay grade, Lonerbox, as like a fucking Israeli propagandist or someone who does this, or any of the people you talk to. You are not talking to people who are, like, close to the proximity of the power of the Israeli government, you know? It's too late, already sold my soul to the Chines. They're doing kidnapping. Believe Israeli military the constitution against genocide. Apparently 41% of Americans believe Israel is perpetrating genocide. That's crazy. Right. If these people were truly against migration, then they should stop bombing countries and meddling in other countries' elections. Oh, 100%. But realistically, the truth is that, like, all of these people are still capitalists, so they still want mass migration, because if you want the capitalist system to continue in the way it does, in the West, we need these people. Like, our birth rates are declining. It is absolutely undeniable. And without bringing over huge amounts of people, capitalism will have to continue in this way. And what you're actually saying fits very well into that, because that is also part and parcel of us exploiting, you know, other parts of the world and making them unlivable to fit with our interests. Like, argue against capitalism if you want these things to change, you know? China's Communist Party. I mean, Lonerbox is also paid by his fucking audience to just say... He's paid by his audience of Israelis who are like, we're Israelis of conscience, it's okay that, like, it's okay for, like, these things to, like, we don't actually support these things. That is literally the only space he inhabits. He is not someone who is, like, serious or actually interested in Palestine. He's literally just interested in grifting. That is literally it. Oh yeah, I was going to look at Nigel Farage quickly. I think I'll go on to the Biden thing. I'm just feeling a bit knackered because I've just been doing a bit too much fucking work the other day. God, there's Nigel Farage, the leader of the people who cares about women and girls, with Andrew Tate. Someone who was a known sex trafficker. But, you know. I want to see if I can find the video I bookmarked.
Thanks. You talked about bringing positivity back to politics after your coming out of retirement.
I have seen the video about Loner Box's money shit. It's such a small amount of money as well. Like, you could not pay me $1,000 to change my opinion on anything or do anything, really.
Kill them all. Keep Britain white. No black in the Union Jack. We're hearing this language more because of you, no?
No, you will hear less of it because of me. If I wasn't here, goodness knows where politics would have gone. There is no man alive in this country today who did more to destroy the BNP with their rise in 2006 to 2008 than me. If I hadn't been there, they would have reached much.
Was that me or was that this person?
If I hadn't been there, their rise in 2006 to 2008 than me. If I hadn't been
I thought I just got an email.
there, they would have reached much, much higher levels. I am the antidote to the far right, and as you know very, very well, I have always, whichever political parties I've led, and this one in particular, I've always said no to people who I genuinely think come at this from a nasty, hard right disposition.
So what is his actual position then if he's not hard right himself? I mean, basically, he's just a businessman looking to make loads of money and follow in the step of Donald Trump to become insanely rich himself and to enrich the people who invest in his party.
We are the antidote,
And
the
so,
genuine antidote to those things, and I say that with great passion.
and so those comments are made by members of Patriotic Alternative, and you're
Nothing to do with it. Nice try, lovely try.
They're attempting to infiltrate the party for Holyrood 2026. So as you
Try
interview,
as hard as you like.
no, I'm just asking. As you interview candidates, have you got some sort of safety net to make sure these people don't infiltrate the party?
Yeah, do you know what? If they have links like that, you know, we check and we vet, and if we find they have got links like that and they've lied to us, they are out of the door before lunchtime.
You know what the truth is this is actually kind of the Kahana shit in Israel. One of the reasons that Meir Kahana failed is because Meir Kahana was like totally unwilling to ever cloak his racism in 1980s Israel, where there still was some slightly larger opposition to, you know, like the most extreme of the extreme racism. But basically today, it is now reaching a point where like you can basically say whatever you want in Israel. So now it's like Kahanism can flourish as it was. What makes Nigel Farage a skilled political operator is that Nigel Farage doesn't actually ever say anything that outrageous himself. And he knows that he won't get to power if he does constantly surround himself with the most extreme of the extreme. So what he wants around him is like people who are like this, who are extreme, who believe in like these extreme things, but are better at cloaking this. Chris Kunzler versus EPs, difficulty level impossible. It's just because I was editing from this morning. I had like a call this morning at like 11 till 12. Editing before that, editing this morning. Then I started streaming at about 3:30 on TikTok. But I'll let you guys know what's happening with streaming, because I'll stream definitely one more time this week, but I also need to edit my video and I want to get that out this weekend. It is long as well. He's definitely far right. His views are 100%. Nigel Farage is far right, and like the people around him are far right. But what makes him so skilled is he doesn't say it himself. Like, he wouldn't say deport them all, what people want to hear. He wouldn't say that like Britain is filled with anti-white infiltrators like Tommy Robinson would. Hence why he always wants to be away from Tommy Robinson. But like, I mean, he was saying some pretty extreme shit recently.
Speaking in Scotland, Livingston, and has rode back to some degree on
He's hard up. I mean, he's hard up in here. TikTok was fine. It was good today.
deportation policies for women and girls. He said that it wasn't the plan in the first 5 years of the policies, being questioned by reporters and correspondents. And he said he was very, very clear yesterday in what I said, that the deportation of illegal immigrants. Going on, though, to say we're not even discussing women and children on this stage. There are so many illegal males in Britain, and the news reports sent after the conference yesterday, that pretty blockbuster conference yesterday, were wrong, says Nigel Farage. Questioned then by a reporter from Channel 4, so are women and children exempt? I didn't say exempt forever, says Nigel Farage, but at this stage, that is not part of our plan for the next 5 years. So a softening, it appears to be, from the Reform UK leader on deportation policies. He said it wasn't in the plan for the first 5 years of that policy.
I can't find this Nigel Farage speech.
Have had enough.
Here we go.
I understand the public have had enough of this, but here's what we have to do to make Operation Restoring Justice actually work. We have to leave the ECHR. No ifs, no buts. It may have been a good idea 80 years ago. Frankly, it isn't today. We have to repeal the Human Rights Act of 1998, brought in by a Blair government, many of whose families seem to do rather well off the back of it.
What is even the Human Rights Act of 1988? Right to life. I mean, repealing this and just like allowing torture and stuff is a pretty horrifying thing to find out about, but...
We will, for a 5-year period, disapply the 1951 Refugee Convention and any other barriers that can be used by lawyers.
I think that they'll run into a problem, though, by the next election, and I think that this will either mean, I think that what the Conservative Party will do is move towards being more extremely racist with Robert Jenrick. I think that that's actually quite a plausible situation. I think Labour is going to continue fucking it so badly, unless a quick election, a speedy election is called. I don't think that... I think that would fuck the Corbyn party, but I genuinely think there is a chance that Corbyn and Zara Sultana can win. I genuinely do. Because I think the Labour Party has fucked it so badly, and if they appeal on left-wing populism, it is not outside of the ordinary that could, like, something like that could win.
In this country, to prevent deportations, to prevent the right thing from happening. We'll create a legal duty for the Home Secretary to remove those that come illegally. And crucially, we will detain all illegal migrants who come, and we will do so immediately.
He does also have going for him that he's a lot younger than a lot of these other people. Oh wow, it's even Operation Restoring Justice is even something stolen from America. Restoring Justice is something stolen from the FBI. Which disuse is he going to use to create 24,000? Reform UK will pledge 5 deportation flights a day. Crazy. Deportation flights where? I mean, I don't think it's going to... I don't think any of this will happen. I think that they'll promise so much and then they won't be able to enact any of it. But, like, also, this is literally just borrowed straight from the Americans. Like, straight from the Americans. But, you know, just doesn't fucking surprise me. Doesn't surprise me at all. Right, what did I want to talk about? I guess I want to go into the Biden thing. You know what, actually? What time is it? How long have I been live? I think we've got time. Oh, let's listen to Trita Parsi talking about Greater Israel. This will be interesting.
What is your recommendation, Dor? Because one of the underlying issues here is this concept of Greater Israel, right? So you say no one has no one has the actual military capability or economic coupled with military ability to actually put lead on targets to dominate the region, but you have maybe the Persians are not as expansionist as they used to be, given the debacle that Hezbollah's turned into, and this continual war they've got on the Arabian Peninsula with the Houthis. It looks like it's a standstill. But the Israelis, certain elements, I shouldn't say this, but what's fascinating to me is the internal politics of Israel, because I think you can make the argument that Netanyahu and the ultra-Orthodox are rapidly trying to turn Israel into a Jewish version of Pakistan, and that you have forces opposed to them, of which not all those forces are MAGA, love MAGA. In fact, many of them are quite progressive and despise MAGA. But they're trying to fight to, I think, get Israel back to the original concept that it was. And that fight is quite impressive. But as long as there's a faction in Israel that believes in this concept of greater Israel and controls the political apparatus, and that's what I'm saying, this rift between the IDF. Look, it was Netanyahu's own son who's living in Miami that tweeted out 4 weeks ago that he thought there was a mutiny and a coup d'etat underway against his father's government.
Poor boy. My last name is Faraj. I use the last name on all of my MMORPG. When I go on any British server, the Brits often curse at me and ask if I'm related to Nigel. Now I know why. Thank you very much, Coffee Lover, for the kind donation. But yeah, you don't want to be associated with that man. Unfortunately. But even worse, you're associated with him with a non-good white English name.
By the IDF, because the IDF commanders said, yo, we do not support this occupation of Gaza. We don't have the troops. We don't have the reservists. We're beaten up. Maybe.
Also, the other thing is, by the way, there's a major issue of, like, can Israel actually get the population out of the Gaza Strip? Patrick Bet David had Netanyahu on, and they got roasted for it. Why is Netanyahu going on everyone's podcast at the moment? But yeah, like, fuck, what was I saying? Oh, just on this topic. Israel has to get everyone out of Gaza City, and it's being alleged that they're using incendiary munitions, and they're just going to keep striking it. But, like, you know, the Christian church said, the nuns said that they're just going to stay in Gaza City. So there was a joint declaration from the Greek, Pope Leo, Pontifex. Today I renew a forceful appeal both to the parties involved and to the international community that an end be put to the conflict in the Holy Land, which has caused so much terror, destruction and death. I appeal that all the hostages be freed, that a permanent ceasefire be reached, that the safe entry of humanitarian aid be facilitated, and that humanitarian law be fully respected, especially the obligation to protect civilians and the prohibitions against collective punishment, the indiscriminate use of force and the forced displacement of populations. I join the joint declaration of Greek Orthodox and Latin Patriarchs of Jerusalem, who yesterday called for an end to this spiral of violence, an end to war, the war, and for the common good of people to be put first. Let us implore Mary, Queen of Peace, source of consolation and hope. Right, okay. But someone posted what it says. Adil Haq. Leaving Gaza City and trying to flee south would be nothing less than a death sentence for the sick and malnourished. The clergy and nuns have decided to remain and continue to care for all those who will be in the church compounds. Leaving Gaza City would be nothing less than... For this reason, the clergy and the nuns have decided to remain and continue to care for all those who will be in the compounds. Like, all these people who are like, I care so much about Christians. Why won't you say something about the Christians in the Middle East? It's like, motherfucker, if you actually stood on your Christian principles of Jesus' message of radical love for literally everyone, for anyone and everyone, why on earth would you be sitting there and being like, but what about this thing? When literally your Christian brothers and sisters are still inside Gaza City and are like, we're not leaving out of compassion for our fellow human beings. Like, our fellow human beings. Like, these people don't give a fuck. Crazy work. Let's see what Steve Bannon has to say, a real mind of our time.
We got the ability to go get the dead enders, but that's where it stops. So how do you, what's your solution to this as long as you have at least one faction that believes in an expansionist agenda for Israel and are supported by some of the biggest voices and wealthiest people and most powerful politicians in the United States of America?
You put your finger on something extremely important that almost never is addressed in mainstream media, which is that there is a significant faction.
I do feel like going on Bannon's war room is pretty crazy anyway. Christ was literally the king of socialism. I mean, his message is just of radical love. Like, that's the most important message of Christianity, is just one of radical love for all human beings, regardless of who they are, what their circumstances are, and what they are like. And so many today are just like, actually, Christianity means we're better than Muslims and Arabs. And it's just like, what are you talking about?
In Israel,
I mean, unfortunately, that has actually been a perception for quite a fucking while, but we move.
that actually is expansionist. It's almost hereditary to say this. But here's the thing. Israel actually doesn't have the ability to be expansionist because the United States, according to CRS's latest analysis, is paying for more than 30% of Israel's military budget.
This is the thing that I would say to that guy. If you actually looked into this, Iran did have Israel a bit on the ropes in the sense of, like, what Iran actually realised over the last few days, if you watched it, Iran was still hitting Israel and causing major damage. I remember some video I had go viral about this. You could see there was huge damage inside Israel. And I'm not saying that Israel was, like, completely destroyed by Iran. Oh my god, Iran blew up Israel. But what I am saying is that what Iran basically realised quite quickly was that you could fire loads of, like, loads of smaller missiles and drones and stuff to deplete the air defenses of Israel, and then eventually you could use your more advanced weapons that were harder to target to get through and cause major damage. So Iran started launching smaller amounts. Israel tried to claim it was because they had aerial superiority, but Iran kept launching. So, you know. And yeah, of course. I think Thomas Sankara. Someone has a Thomas, no altar, no belief, no holy book have ever been able to reconcile the rich and the poor, the exploiter and the exploited. And if Jesus himself had to take the whip to chase them from his temple, it is indeed because that is the only language that they hear. That's Thomas Sankara, allegedly, who was like if you don't know Sankara, I just want to see if I can find this one that I was looking for, because I prefer this one. This is the one. This is from Thomas Sankara. A united front against debt. The Bible, the Quran, cannot serve those who exploit the people and those who are exploited in the same way. It could be used in favour of both sides. There should be two different editions of the Bible and two different editions of the Quran. We cannot accept to be told about dignity. We cannot accept to be told about the merit of those who repay and the mistrust toward those who do not. On the contrary, it should have read the start. The rich and the poor do not have the same morality. He's basically saying that there should be a version of the Quran for the rich and a version for the poor because of how, like, radical the interpretation is of, like, radically incorrect the interpretation is of the rich who use it as a means to exploit, you know?
Israel actually doesn't have the capability of even attacking Iran without that support from the United States.
Yeah, I mean, Trita Parsi is 100% correct on this. Like, all these people who are like, Israel smashed Iran. Bro, why did America have to go in and bomb? Why did America have to go do this?
So absent U.S. support, all kinds of aspirations for greater Israel or Israeli hegemony completely falls apart, which means that we have leverage. If we don't want them to be expansionist, we can simply say no. Stop the flow of money, stop the flow of arms, stop the flow of defensive support, which actually fuels their desire to go on reckless offensive approaches because they know that the United States is going to come in and protect them. If we do none of that, I don't think the desire for greater Israel actually ever can be manifested because Israel doesn't have that capability.
I would actually argue there are aspects, there are elements of the IDF that would fully support that. They're saying, hey, we're tapped out or close to being tapped out, and we should not have an expansionist agenda.
I mean, the amount of... by the way, I was going to put this in the chat because I think you should all read it if you want to learn... if you want to read Chart Book, Adam 2's... If you want to read something about this... bulldozing Gaza. Where is it? He talks about two really interesting articles, neither of which I've read in here, that are worth looking at. But he talks about, like, how much they're spending. The defense ministry pays 5,000 shekels a day to use the equipment inside Gaza. So they're paying for $5,000 per day. $1,500 to rent out hundreds of bulldozers every single day to demolish Gaza. There are rumors going around that Toadburger switches the tags off of items at supermarkets to get a big discount. Not cool. Bro, hello, is that Tesco UK helpline? I need to report a serious crime. Iran has the greatest military ability in the region to weaken Israel by far. Military intervention won't come from the West, and non-state are limited logistically. 100%. Although the Houthis are kind of showing that even with limitations, you can fucking affect Israel. You can cause problems. Like, Eilat port has shut down. Basically, as a result of it's probably just not feasible or viable to keep open, whilst you can focus on other ports and the Houthis are causing problems for you there. So, like, I think that that's kind of the thing of what it comes down to. How long is this going to take to read? Fuck. Maybe I should read this, but my eyes are kind of hurting. I don't know what to do. I don't know whether to read this or just save it for tomorrow. I've been live for... No, you know what? Let's do it. Fuck it. So, this article appeared in the New Yorker recently. This is what I definitely want to cover. And it's about Jacob Lew, who was the US ambassador to Israel. And he still thinks that Trump could learn from his predecessor. There's a nice, cool picture of everyone's favourite, Genocidal Pig 1 and Genocidal Pig 2. During the war in Gaza, there have been two major stages of aid delivery to Palestinians. The original effort led by the UN, which involved hundreds of facilities, and the current system run by the GHF, an American non-profit set up with Israeli backing. By the way, it was literally a creation of Israel. I think that you could actually just say that you could actually just evidence that. You could just cite loads of shit here to say, like, this is exactly what it is. Like, you could. Last March, after Israel ended a ceasefire with Hamas, Netanyahu's government imposed a near-total aid cut-off to their territory until well into May, at which point the GHF took over. The UN's food deliveries had not been able to meet the overwhelming need in Gaza, but at least they had taken place all over the territory. The GHF opened only 4 sites. Hundreds of Palestinians... We all know this, so I think... so this is more what it relates to. In a recent piece in Foreign Affairs, a brilliant magazine, clearly, titled How to Stop a Humanitarian Catastrophe. By the way, there is literally no humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza. Also, I'm going to shill Adam Tooze again, because his work is really good on this at the moment. So first of all, check out his chart book, Adam Tooze's chart book. Tooze chart book. Bulldozing Gaza. And also ones and twos, and the episode is podcast. Fucking hell, my PC is gonna die. I'm also, by the way, tomorrow is the day at which I'll look at sorting the PC, the new PC, so it should be done soon. I just needed to check something, and that will happen. But yeah, so ones and twos podcast. There's one about Gaza, famine in Gaza recently, the most recent one. Really, really good. Highly recommend that. Ones and Twos podcast, available on Spotify at least for free. So, Foreign Policy magazine or whatever it is might be shit, but he's good. The former Biden administration officials Jacob J. Lew and David Satterfield explain why they believe that the Trump administration is failing with where they're succeeded. Lew became ambassador to Israel less than a month after October the 7th, and Satterfield was Biden's special envoy for humanitarian issues in the region. God, you can see I'm tired. Are you going to use Windows again? I don't think there's really much alternative to using Windows, really. Like, I think it's kind of a fucking major issue. Like, I'm only getting a new PC. Like, at this point, I think probably if I didn't need one, I just wouldn't get a new PC, so I didn't have to spend any more money on fucking getting Windows or Microsoft or giving anything to them. But at this point, it's just like a cornered market of, like, I guess I could put Linux on, but it seems just like a complex thing in terms of just, like, in comparison to this. But, like, and even then, I don't, yeah. Is Linux based? What's hard about... Now I'm going to have to watch videos about switching to Linux. Curse with it. Can use it. Why is... I don't know anything about Linux. I've just always used Windows. Please use Linux. Linux is way better. It's based for those who have the time to learn it. Oh, God. Just the learning curve. I love Linux. I'm sure it would actually be... I'm sure it would be good to... But I don't know if I just have the capacity or time to want to learn it. I'm not learning basic terminals. PS5 is for the people. Hell yeah, I got a PS5. I got my PS5. Anyway, you're going to get suggested Mudaha. Plus you can run Windows on Linux. Don't forget to like the stream. Goodness me. Although the results of our work never satisfied us, much less our... okay, sorry, so they wrote... This is what these people wrote. Although the results of our work never satisfied us, much less our critics, in reality, the efforts we led in the Biden administration to keep Gaza open for humanitarian relief prevented famine, starvation, because humanitarian assistance was reaching them. I recently spoke by phone with Lou, who served in the second Obama administration as Treasury Secretary, no surprise there, loving genocide, being part of the Obama administration, and is currently a professor of international public affairs at Columbia University, about the peace as well as the broader American-Israeli relationship. During our conversation, which has been edited for length and clarity, we also discussed whether the Biden administration was trying to keep Netanyahu in power, how much it shaped Israel's contact, and what Liu learned on the late-night phone calls with Israeli officials. Who doesn't love a late-night phone call with Israeli officials? Oh, God, my PC, again, going crazy. Doing crazy shit here. Sorry, I'm just closing everything to try and make my PC run a little better. Is there anything else open? That might be causing issues. Obama. Didn't realise he had so many Linux freaks in the chat. Yeah, there's a lot of people who liked it. Does anyone have a good book on World War One for free? I have no idea about World War One. I mean, like, I haven't studied it since school, I'm afraid. I've only really read people talking about it. Like, Jesus Christ, my poor PC. Oh, you could listen to Adam 2's probably talks about World War One. My PC's crazy. Burgers! I love burgers! But yeah, what am I doing now? You write in the piece that the Biden administration prevented mass starvation in Gaza whilst it remained in office. What did you do to prevent mass starvation? From the very beginning of the war, Biden was unequivocal in saying he had Israel's back, and he would continue to support Israel and its legitimate efforts to defeat Hamas. But there had to be a very serious effort to deal with the civilian issues of a war in Gaza. So we engage literally every day and night on the questions of how you have an effective strategy of providing aid in a war zone. It's really not that fucking complex. The UN was doing it to a much greater degree than Israel was. Israel and the GHF have been. But the main problem with it previously was also that Israel was blocking it and preventing it. It's just so ridiculous. If you had the opportunity to interview Netanyahu, would you do it, and what would you ask him? I don't know if I would interview Netanyahu, because, like, what's the fucking point? He's just, like, it'd be kind of like an opportunity to interview Hitler, but I suppose, like, if you had an opportunity to interview Hitler and you knew about what he was doing to the Jewish people, it would be, like, interesting to ask him these questions about how you justify it and all of these things, but yeah. My God, yeah, my PC is literally just... my PC is cooked. I actually have to get a new one. I'm on it tomorrow, don't worry. And then it'll be no more streaming ever again from this PC, because this is just crazy at this point. During your tenure, humanitarian groups, the United Nations, and even people... Oh, sorry. And we worked very hard to bring... attention of the Israeli leaders to the urgency of opening aid crossings. So it was not a one-day event. Literally the entire time I was there, it was a very substantial part of the work that we were doing. Sorry, I don't even know what is going on with my PC. Hold on, let me see if I can work out what the issue is. What's eating up the fucking... eating up the shit. Are you on it, Chris? Yeah. I am on it. And shout out to Terratrove for doing this. So it's just telling me that Google Chrome is using tons of my memory, and also EA is using my memory, which is annoying. It shouldn't be doing that. Steam Web Client Helper is apparently doing it as well. OBS browser page. God, there we go. Finally, some peace and quiet. He's just a boring propagandist, though. I don't think there's anything interesting to get out of the guy. Yeah, I mean, he is the guy who's he is also the guy leading Israel's genocide, but he is just one person doing it. During your tenure, humanitarian groups, the UN, and even people in the Biden administration were constantly saying that there was not enough aid getting into Gaza. The death toll climbed to more than 46,000 before you left office. I know you're saying that the aid delivery system was sufficient, but how would you characterize it? At every point we said more needed to be done. I'm not saying that we achieved the goal of getting enough food in to meet all needs, but that's a very different reality. A very, very different reality than mass malnutrition and famine. And every time there were reports of famine that were not accurate, it made it harder to do the job of getting more aid in. How is that true? How is that true? The reports of famine created pressure on Israel to actually allow aid in. That was actually the situation that he's fucking talking about. They created a situation where Israel could basically keep Palestinians balanced on the edge of starving to death and being allowed aid to prevent mass starvation. I didn't realise I needed to pay the bus fare today. Indeed, it's always required, but thank you so much, Sophie. Where were we? We were trying to make the critique in a balanced way to keep pressure on Hamas and to not abandon Israel's efforts to defeat an enemy that attacked it on October the 7th, killing 1,200 people, while still saying that you have an obligation every day, even if it's at some risk, to keep their aid crossings open to Gaza. It was arduous work. This is just also not true. The International Court of Justice told Israel that it must reopen the Rafah crossing, and the US government didn't do anything. What do you mean? They didn't tell them. They didn't do this. This is not Biden. This is what's his name? It's something who was a Biden's ambassador to Israel. How have I forgotten his name? What is it? Sorry, you can tell I'm tying. Lou. Jacob J. Lou. The risk of strengthening Hamas, if Hamas got hold of the fuel or the food, was a serious question. It wasn't a made-up concern. We never saw it going directly from what the US was providing, so I want to be clear on that. But they undoubtedly were trying to control the administration of aid because it was a way of holding on to governance. Because they're the only semblance of governance in the Gaza Strip. Of course they're trying to hold on to it so they can actually distribute aid to people. Like, what are you fucking talking about? Israel has continually killed them. They needed to provide fucking security to the aid. Police officers who weren't directly fighting against Israel. It's so ridiculous to act in this way because by sowing chaos, Israel has created a situation in which they, aid is looted, people are targeted when they're trying to collect aid and all of these things. But of course, they needed to prevent Hamas from getting the aid. It wasn't a made-up concern. Yeah, it wasn't a made-up concern. But I just want to be clear, people were starving to death in 2024. I know mass starvation did not happen, but people were dying, correct? I can tell that we did not see evidence of... I can tell you that we did not see evidence of mass starvation leading to death. We did see children, and some of them were children with diseases who were particularly susceptible, and it's tragic. Any civilian, any child dying of malnutrition is tragic. So I'm in no way saying that there weren't problems until March of 2025. It wasn't great, but people were surviving. This is perhaps the most grotesque part of... And I mean, there's some really grotesque bits coming up. But one of the parts that makes this so grotesque for me is that, it's okay because people were surviving. Bro, you're creating a situation where humans are living the most basic possible existence, fighting for food, struggling to feed themselves and their families, skipping meals, people with diseases, people dying of malnutrition, and you say that that is surviving. You say that that is surviving. Yeah, sure, I can pin that, no problem. What about pre-2025? What do you mean about pre-2025? And it was not an accident. It took constant engagement to keep that flow. I would never say that there was no problem. I think the reports of famine were premature and exaggerated. Even in my last month, there was a report that I found extremely troubling, where it said there was a serious risk of famine in the north, literally as we were working day and night to open the routes for food to get in to the people who were still in that very northern part. Like, what is this? Like, what is this? Oh, they shouldn't have released a part on famine because we were working really hard to prevent that famine. By what? Telling the Israelis, please don't do a famine. So ridiculous. So utterly ridiculous, man. It seems that, yeah, and it just fits so well with what Israel has previously been doing of calorie counting what Palestinians can get there. It seems that part of what was going on with what you said were premature warnings of famine was that humanitarian groups would warn of famine, and then once things got bad enough, Israel would increase the amount of aid coming in. Doesn't what you are saying suggest that too? You were saying you would pressure the Israelis, and therefore they would tap a little bit more, and things would get a little bit better. And that's not happening as much in the Trump administration, so the starvation has gotten worse. This is exactly what it is. This is exactly what it is. You know, the people who are, you know, just able to, like, they are just tapping in on one thing. And yes, please do donate if you can to Mohsen's cause, which is in the just in the pinned link. He's we wish to cast the famine away. My ancestors survived famine, so does that mean it wasn't a famine? Famine doesn't mean every single person dies. No, not at all. I mean, I guess like one of the things about the famine in Gaza is it has reached nowhere near the level of the Irish famine as of yet, but it is headed towards that way. I mean, like even Ireland today just still bears the scars of what happened, even in its physical landscape. Like seeing all those abandoned houses and stuff that were literally just abandoned during the famine is fucking crazy. The art of misleading, the Zionists mastered it. I mean, what, misleading people, yeah. Unfortunately it's more just America, I'd say. They tap into America. Like, we watched that video a while ago of Dwayne Claridge, who was the CIA's chief, like, amnesty is propaganda, they lie about us. Well, look, when I got into Israel in November of 2023, the country was shell-shocked. It was in a state of trauma from October the 7th that any of us in New York on September the 11th would understand in a very visceral way. So people were not making decisions based on long-term thinking. Yes, they were. They were making decisions based on a long-term thinking of wanting to do away with the Palestinian problem, of having no space for the Palestinian people and hating Palestinians in Gaza specifically. I would say that once we got into November, we had engagement with senior policymakers who understood that there was a need to address humanitarian concerns. The challenge was that it was a country that didn't actually understand the scope of humanitarian needs, and there was a right-wing element of Netanyahu's government that was opposed and had other views that were threatening to bring down the coalition. Bro, this is a crazy statement as well. Israel has amazing knowledge of what's going on in Gaza. It knows exactly how to control it, exactly how much aid needs to go in, but they don't allow it in because they don't want Palestinians to be living where they have food. Israel's concept of voluntary migration is a euphemism for, just as the Nazis said transfer instead of exterminating the Jews. There's actually a scene in Conspiracy that's really good that I probably can't show where one of them gets up at the Vanti conference, and I know it's a film, but he stands up during it, and he says, they keep talking about transfer, and this, like, SS official says, in Latvia, those 20,000 Jews that I shot, were they transferred? Is that what I was doing there? And he's just like, yeah, that's what transfer is. But none of them ever say, like, you know, killing. They're just like, those 20,000 Jews that he, like, got rid of, was that transfer? And he's just like, yeah, that's transfer. And it's the same thing. Voluntary migration by just mass starving people, by killing them, is exactly what they are doing. I don't know. And also just using 9/11 to justify this. Oh, shut up. The challenge was that it was a country, and also the right-wing coalition. How did you get decisions to be taken without causing the government to collapse? Now people have asked, why did we care about that? Because you work with the government that you have. We don't vote in the elections in other countries. We don't choose the leaders. I mean, yes, America does choose the leaders of other countries. And second of all, what the fuck? Why is that a consideration, you know? But supporting the government in power is a little different than saying we're going to help the government to try and survive. We didn't do that, Isaac. We never took a position one way or another on what the government should be. There were people in the government who thought we wanted it to fall. There were people outside of the government who thought we weren't doing enough. We work to make policy with the government that's in place. What do you mean? Like, what? Would you have worked with the Nazis if they were in place? Just because, you know, they were the government in place and you don't decide what happens there? Oh, fucking total bullshit. This fucking shit, you know. In this essay, you write, in this essay, you write, given the tensions within the government, it took active and consistent US engagement to manage the internal Israeli political dynamics and maintain the adequate flow of assistance. The message to our interlocutors in the Israeli government was in essence, if the politics are hard, blame the United States. Allowing Netanyahu to cite a need to satisfy US demands was crucial then and remains crucial today. That makes it seem like you were trying to help the current government stay in power. I mean, of course it's what they're doing. Are we sure lizard people aren't real? Yeah, I think I'm definitely sure that I'm sure of that. No, I think you're missing the point. The point I'm making is if your goal is to keep humanitarian aid flowing and you see obstacles that you have to overcome, you have to be realistic about what it takes to achieve the goal that you have. Our goal was to get the aid in. We wanted Israel to prevail in the war. What we're saying in the essay is realistically there were limitations on how decisions would be taken and the coalition was concerned about not falling. It was their concern, not ours. I take issue with the characterization of our position being that we were trying to defend the coalition when we were trying to solve the immediate urgent issues, which was getting humanitarian assistance in. So when you say that allowing Netanyahu to cite a need to satisfy US demands was crucial then and remains crucial today, what do you mean? Netanyahu doesn't want to piss off the super far-right ministers in his government by having it seem that Israel is delivering aid. So you're saying that allowing Netanyahu to cite the need to satisfy US demands is crucial to him remaining in power? You're putting words in my mouth. I'm not going to let that happen. What I'm saying is in order to get a decision through his cabinet, he needed to be armed with positions that he was able and willing to use. And what we would say is, we need you to do this, and if that is a strategic concern, then you do what you need. What the fuck? Like, it's such a weird way of phrasing this shit. I understand that you can see that as political cover, but it's political cover to get a policy enacted, not to preserve a coalition. Our goal was to get aid in, and we were trying to help drive the decision-making process in a constructive way. I think that's very different from taking political sides in a domestic context in another country. I mean, what the fuck are you talking about? If the goal was to get aid in, some people would say that keeping the current government afloat was a bad idea. Another possibility would have been to seriously threaten to stop arming them. How do you respond to that? Look, I think Biden was clear after October 7th that he would support Israel in achieving the military objective of defeating Hamas. There was always debate about what that meant, and we engaged diplomatically on the difference between defeating Hamas as a military and a governing authority and eliminating the last Hamas fighter, which we didn't believe at the beginning, and I don't believe today is possible. But our goal was to help Israel defend its people and its country. That was not something that we used as a general matter to say. If you don't do other things we want, we'll stop defending you. Part of it was that Biden was so clear in his position that he wouldn't have even been credible. Sorry, I need it. I've just got a message. Well, Biden still had the power. I'm not saying he was going to, but he could have, right? Right. But when he was vice president, Biden was famous for saying great powers can't bluff. It was something that is deep inside of him. His commitment to supporting Israel in a legitimate, just fight was clear, and that had to coexist with pressing them on humanity. What? Like, how are these words that you are saying? How are the words that you are saying here congruent with anything? You are calling it a legitimate just fight, but you are talking about the fact that, like, oh, Israel was doing these bad things. It's crazy. Crazy. And, like, just being like, yeah, Biden just couldn't do it because he had, like, some ideological conviction that he shouldn't do it. Well, Biden still, where were we? This is a war that the former defense minister of Netanyahu has referred to as ethnic cleansing. Whether you agree with this characterization or not, there is a certain point at which the US should choose to stop helping Israel. Your answer is almost tautological, right? Biden wasn't going to do this, so he couldn't do this. Isaac, I think you have to put things in perspective of the time frame. We're talking about late 2023, early 2024, up until 2025. We engage with Israel on military tactics in a very direct way. Take the decision to proceed into Rafah in May of 2024. More than 1 million Palestinians who had congregated in Rafah in the first months of the war fled the city during the offensive. The Israeli military plan that was originally designed and the one that was executed were very different. If you look at the way they fought in Rafah, the reason we didn't criticize it is that they took the advice that we had given them and they modified their military plans to be consistent with targeted intelligence-driven attacks. So we're engaging not just humanitarian assistance, we're engaging on the conduct of the war. I'm not saying that everything went the way we would have advised. I'm not saying we didn't call them in the middle of the night many times, saying, what on earth is happening now? What? This article is fucking insane. When you call them in the middle of the night and say, what on earth happened, what was usually the answer? The general pattern was in the moment stories were inaccurate and that the Israeli military and government establishment were not in the position to fully explain yet. We could almost never get answers that explained what happened before the story was fully framed in international media, and then when the facts were developed, it turned out that the casualties were much lower, the number of civilians was much lower, and in many cases, the children were the children of Hamas fighters, not children taking cover in places. This is the most insane part. This is like the most insane part. No one would justify killing US military officials and their children during a conflict. No one would justify that about Israelis. And by the way, I was thinking about this fucking, like, the way in which there are, like, these Israelis who go through every single casualty list and they're like, this guy has a connection to Hamas. This guy is Hamas. This guy, that guy, he's Hamas. He's Hamas. Go through October the 7th. Look through how many of their obituaries are like, he served in the Israeli military. Bro, on what? So all of the people killed on October the 7th, they got what they deserved? Sorry, what did you just say? In many cases, the original number of casualties. No, I mean the thing about the children they were often the children of fighters themselves. And therefore, what follows from that? What follows is that whether or not it was legitimate military target flows from the population that's there. Hold on, Mr. Secretary, that's not in fact correct. Whether it's a legitimate target has to do with all kinds of things, like proportionality. It doesn't matter if kids are the kids of... If you're in a command and control centre, that's different than if it's a school that's emptied out and innocent civilians are taking shelter. If you're the commander of a Hamas unit and you bring your family to a military site, that's different. I'm not saying everything fits into that, and I'm not saying it's not... Bro, they were targeting them at their homes. They targeted them at their fucking homes. They weren't military sites. This is just a lie. This is just a lie. It's just categorically a lie. You know, Shiri and her husband, Yoav Gallant, admitted that the Bibas family's parents fought on October the 7th. Were their children at a military base? Because that's what happened there. Their parents were fighting. It's like all of these people who go through this roundabout logic of finding any way to make it seem as if Palestinians are worthy of death because this person was Hamas, this person was, that person was Hamas. They were here, they were there, they were at this hospital at that point. There was a Hamas member there. Pick through October the 7th and tell me how many of those had never served in the IOF, because these people believe that it is legitimate to target people who are no longer members of Hamas, who are not actively participating in militancy and killing them in their homes, and yet they tell you that October the 7th was the worst, most barbarous act ever. It may shine a very poor light on Hamas, but who the kids are does not make a difference in terms of international law. It is not a simple question that it originally appears to be when the initial report makes it sound like the target was just an empty school that families took cover in. In some cases, I'm not aware of the full explanations because when I left, we were still asking questions to get more detail and saying to them that they have to be able to explain these things. This is crazy! Like, this is crazy. You read this shit. You read this shit. You read this shit and you hear about how we were having these calls with Israel, we were doing these things, we were doing that. There's no condemnation here. He said that Biden supported them in a just war. He now just... And what a just war is such an arbitrary thing of just justifying killing children. Yeah, it's a former Biden. Yeah, it's basically how a Biden official. And don't ever let anyone talk you down. Kamala Harris would be allowing Israel to still wage its campaign of ethnic cleansing. All that Kamala Harris would be doing right now is saying, don't go into Gaza City. No! Israel, don't do that. And Israel will go, well, you're not going to stop us. When you have a country where Netanyahu says, not even The Hague will stop us, how dare you sit there and act as if someone who has not taken a hard line and has not said Israel is going to be stopped is going to change things. It is bullshit. They are lying to you. The only reason they bring this up is to feel smug and better about themselves. They will not confront the fact that Kamala Harris lost the election because she was unwilling to make any distinction between herself and Joe Biden. These are Biden officials justifying murdering kids. This was a guy who was in the Obama administration. Like, fuck these people who tell you, oh, this or that Democrat would have been better. Granted, look, Trump is doing fascistic things, but all of these people who are ostensibly leftists, who refuse to change American foreign policy, who refuse to behave in any way differently to how they currently behave, are just as guilty as any of these other people, are just as guilty as any of these right-wingers who take over. They are just as, Keir Starmer is just as guilty as Nigel Farage. Do not sit there and tell me that I have to vote for some dog shit establishment leftist figure who is literally just going to pave the way for fascism by offering no change to what is actually going on. It's fundamentally ridiculous. This is a guy who is key in the Biden administration justifying killing kids. And you tell me that this is the lesser of two evils. This is not what you can expect. All these people paved the way for fascism. Exactly, and as long as there's no shift, like these people, I don't want to listen to a whiny statement from Kamala Harris where she's like, yeah, actually, I kind of think that maybe you shouldn't go into Gaza City, and then not just being like, yeah, I'm not going to do anything about it. It's ridiculous. You have been saying today that the war against Hamas is justified, and you say in the piece that the military mission is defeating Hamas. But when I read the more liberal press in Israel, or stories such as the giant investigation published in the NYT a few weeks ago, it seems like the purpose of the war is to keep Netanyahu in power. And so it feels like there's a disconnect between more liberal Americans, like those in your administration, who supported the war and who will say it needs to continue to get the hostages back and to defeat Hamas, and liberal Israelis who are saying that Netanyahu doesn't care about defeating Hamas or the hostages at all. How do you think about that dissonance? I think the temptation to see things as explained by only one cause can lead to misunderstanding the complexity. Bro, this is literally just politician speak drivel to justify supporting war crimes. It's like that guy who was on, like, don't you think, like, Palestinians and Israelis bear some responsibility? Both? No! One side is a genocidal settler colony doing all of these barbarous things. I don't need to hear your bullshit politics speak of how you're going to defend them. This is just gobbledygook. There were many moments when it was a legitimate point that there were still military objectives against Hamas. We never said, for example, that Rafah was not a serious military objective. Was the larger problem that the American government was operating from the assumption that Netanyahu cared about the hostages back? The hostage families broadly think that he does. They don't seem to think he does. Netanyahu goes on the same right-wing television channels in Israel on which the hostage families are regularly mocked. I'm not going to try and explain what's in either the heart or mind of Netanyahu. What I can tell you is that as a matter of American policy, the hostages were very much at the top of our list of priorities. I've gotten to know many of the hostage families, and I understand that they have a right to be critical of anyone that they criticize. I'm trying to ask a larger question about whether fundamentally Netanyahu and his government wanted to end the war and bring the hostages back. And it seems to me that the assumption for most liberal Israelis is that they do not. It felt like the Biden administration was pushing for something like that, pushing for something that the Israeli government did not in fact want. Again, it's more complicated than that. I'm not going to question that there was a political dimension to all of this. The reality at the time of all the negotiations was there were always two parties to a negotiation. Hamas was not willing to make the moves that it had to make in order to free the hostages and in order to end the war. It wasn't just one side. but I thought that a lot of this stuff needed to be a little bit more top-down explanation to the Israeli people to build the case for why they have to do hard things to save the hostages. So I'm not defending the way, like you literally just are. In the essay, you write about Trump proposing a Gaza without Gazans. Netanyahu seems startled by Trump's comments. He avoided embracing or rejecting the goal, instead hailing the president's bold vision on Gaza. Yet it quickly became clear that Trump's remark had delighted Israelis on the far right, and Israelis generally. You seem to want to draw a contrast between Netanyahu and the far right, but now Netanyahu has embraced this plan. He said it's a wonderful plan and a revolutionary plan, and there have even been reports from the WSJ and others that Israel has been talking to South Sudan and other countries about Gazans moving out of Gaza. So how big is the gap between Netanyahu and the far right? Hello, Clacris. What does that mean, Tony Soprano lover? What we said in the piece was that at the time they were fringe views, and that the statements that Trump made when Netanyahu visited opened the gates for it to go from being a fringe view to something that is widely discussed, if not widely held. Shut up. Genuinely, these people are just liars. I don't know the answer to the question. I read the article in the WSJ, and we made clear our views that it is not something that's morally or legally acceptable approach. I think the problem is that politics are different here and in Israel. When President Trump opened the door at the press conference, he's fully capable of closing it again, and in Israel, it changed the environment of the discussion, and I hope it's still a fringe view, but I worry about that. We made it clear that things like that couldn't even be discussed. Yeah, okay, bro. Hello, Clarice. In the essay, you write a lot about the shared values of America and Israel, but today you have talked about pushing them to deliver aid, and you've talked about the fact that once Trump came into office and that push wasn't there, the humanitarian situation got worse. Why was there a need to push so hard? Why do they need to be pushed to not ethnically cleanse Gaza? Why do they need to be pushed to have their military act in an honourable way? If they are our shared ally and our great friend, why aren't they doing these things? The environment of October and November of 2023 was how you sustain an enemy. How do you sustain an enemy that just slaughtered 1,200 of your citizens? You had to create a way for aid to get in without it having the effect of making your enemy succeed. It is pretty unusual. Jesus. Well, this situation exists partly because Israel controlled access to Gaza. How much is left of this, right? Oh, thank God, not much more. Sorry, I'm just tired. It's partially because of the geography of Gaza and also the history. It wasn't that everyone we spoke to said, we're not going to allow food in, but there had to be a means of getting the food in without accomplishing the mission of undermining the war effort. And the mood of the country was traumatized, with political threats to leave the coalition. That's a hard set of circumstances. But the reason that food stopped entering Gaza in March was not that it was too hard to do, as you acknowledge in the piece. When the pressure stopped, the food stopped. As we say in the piece, turning food on and off cannot be used as a lever of coercion, but you let them do that. Why was it even on the table as a lever of coercion? That's what I'm trying to understand. Look, it was hard, and there were moments when the inability to solve either logistical, strategic, or military challenges seemed paralyzing. But the answer to that is you keep going and you work to overcome obstacles, bro. Just jargon. Complete and utter jargon. Rubbish. Dog shit. When you talk about shared values, we were able to engage and have a conversation where we talked about the issues that we're talking about them right now. And I never had an Israeli general dismiss what we said as being inconsistent with their values. There are so many Israeli generals who are like that. We were effectively helping to pay his salaries, so I would hope not. Yeah, but they're the ones who have to make the decision. Are they going to send 1,000 more people in greater harm's way? And the answer is, with the engagement we had, they rethought their military strategy in a significant battle like Rafah. Now when I hear the Prime Minister get up and say, they said we couldn't invade Rafah without massive civilian casualties, and we did, it makes my blood boil, because they did not do it in the same way. They did it in entirely... I love how this man is just sat here and like, yeah, they actually invaded Rafah really well. They have destroyed nearly 100% of Rafah. How are you justifying this? How are you justifying and saying that this is a good thing? It is barbaric, and these people should be in the fucking Hague. Regarding your piece, I was shocked to learn that the Biden administration's floating aid pier was an Israeli idea. This was the floating pier that Biden talked about in the State of the Union and was operational in the spring of 2024, briefly before a storm made it inoperable. It was embarrassing. People made fun of the administration for it. Now it seems like the GHF was also an Israeli idea. Both of them have been PR disasters, and the GHF has been a humanitarian disaster. The Israeli-American dynamic just seems very strange. When the decision on the pier was made, it was supposed to work in a better way. It wasn't supposed to get ripped away by waves in the Mediterranean. By the way, this, like I read at the time, like someone was like, yeah, this hasn't been used since Haiti. It's technology that hasn't gotten any better. Like this is just not something that has happened. Ugh. So the things that were ridiculed were something that turned out to be something we're going to have to deal with when we try to use that technology in another place. I never saw a risk assessment that predicted it was going to have such difficult engineering challenge. With that said, almost 500,000 meals came across it, and it became a very important diplomatic moment. I think diplomatically it accomplished quite a lot. It fed a lot of people. The total aid delivered by the pier in its nearly 3 weeks of operation added up to approximately 600 truckloads, about the same amount that entered Gaza on an average day prior to the war. I'm not happy that the pictures are of waves knocking down a US floating pier, but that's not on the government of Israel. Jesus Christ. Alright guys, I'm calling the stream there. I mean, what a fucking piece of shit this guy is, but somehow doesn't fucking surprise me. Prior to the war. I'm not happy that the pictures are of waves knocking down a US floating pier, but that's not on the government of Israel. Jesus Christ. Alright guys, I'm calling the stream there. I mean, what a fucking piece of shit this guy is, but